Arthur held the cardboard box tightly against his chest. Inside was a faded coffee mug, a picture of his 7-year-old daughter, Lily, and a thick notebook filled with system codes. He had taught himself. The heavy glass doors of the medical distribution center slammed shut behind him. "That's what you get for playing hero, Arthur," the vice president of operations sneered from the lobby, his voice echoing for every employee to hear. "You're just a glorified data entry clerk. Tomorrow, this new automated system goes live, and I get my massive quarterly bonus. You can take your little safety concerns and look for a job flipping burgers." Arthur didn't yell back. He just looked at the VP with a calm, almost pitying smile, because the arrogant executive didn't know the terrifying truth. If that system went online at midnight, thousands of critical medical supplies would be misrouted to the wrong hospitals. Lives were literally on the line. When faced with powerful people who use money to hide the truth, do you bow down or stand tall? If you believe that doing the right thing is always worth the risk, type "I stand for the truth" in the comments below as a promise to yourself. Arthur had always been a man of his word. He was a single father who firmly believed in never fearing failure. Starting over didn't scare him in the slightest. He had spent the last 3 years rebuilding his life, raising Lily with unwavering positivity. He taught her about patience and how everything in life connects. By building a small aquaponics garden in their backyard, they spent their weekends growing vegetables and raising fish, watching how a healthy ecosystem required honesty and care. He often told her that you simply cannot fake good roots. Arthur applied that exact same mindset to his job at the distribution center. He was an incredibly fast learner, with a deep passion for digital systems. While the executives played golf and drank expensive scotch, Arthur was spending his evenings reading server logs. He understood every digital vein of this massive logistics network. Earlier that week, Arthur had noticed a catastrophic memory leak in the new automated sorting software. The algorithm was prioritizing delivery speed over medical accuracy just to meet the VP's unrealistic targets. Insulin could easily be shipped in unrefrigerated trucks. Surgical trauma kits could be sent to psychiatric wards instead of emergency rooms. Arthur had immediately compiled a detailed, undeniable risk report. He walked straight into the VP's corner office, expecting a rational, professional discussion. Instead, he was met with total disrespect and arrogance. "You are a low-level analyst, Arthur. Your job is to press enter on a keyboard, not to question my corporate vendors. I paid $3 million for this software, and it launches tonight, whether you like it or not." Arthur didn't back down. His positivity wasn't a weakness. It was grounded in a fierce sense of personal responsibility. "I do what I say, sir, and I am telling you right now that this system will fail and hurt innocent people. I will not sign the safety compliance release." The VP had laughed, a cold and empty sound that filled the large office. "Then you're fired. Pack your desk and get out of my building now." Standing in the cold parking lot, Arthur felt a small, warm hand slip into his. Lily had been sitting in the employee break room after school, drawing pictures with her crayons. She looked up at him, her large eyes filled with innocent worry. "Dad, why do we have your coffee cup? Are we not coming back here anymore?" Arthur knelt down on the asphalt, making sure he was right at her eye level. He gave her that magnetic, warm smile that always made her feel entirely safe. "We are going on a new adventure, sweetie. Sometimes you have to walk away from bad situations to make room for much better ones. Remember what we always say about our garden?" Lily nodded slowly. "We have to pull the weeds so the good plants can grow." "Exactly." Arthur kissed her forehead gently. "I did the right thing today. And doing the right thing means we already won. If you are raising a child and want to teach them the real meaning of strength, make sure to subscribe to our channel right now so we can share these important life lessons together. And remember to leave a comment saying "I stand for the truth" to show your support for fathers who put integrity first. As they walked toward his old, reliable sedan, Arthur pulled his smartphone from his pocket. He wasn't panicking about the future. He wasn't stressed about paying rent, because a man with his mindset always found a way to create new value. But he absolutely could not let innocent patients suffer, just because a corporate suit wanted a fatter paycheck. What the VP didn't understand was that Arthur's fast learning skills went far beyond just reading data logs. Over the past 48 hours, anticipating this exact arrogant reaction, Arthur had written a specialized auditing script. It was a digital safety net, quietly hard-coded into the facility's main servers. He hadn't hacked anything maliciously. He had simply used his authorized access to set up an automated, unbreakable alert protocol. If the flawed software attempted to route a critical medical batch without a human compliance signature, the system would immediately freeze. But he needed authorization from the highest level to let the audit run its course, without the local IT team shutting it down. Arthur unlocked the car door for Lily. "Get in, kiddo. Dad just needs to make one quick phone call." He scrolled through his contacts until he found a highly restricted number he had saved months ago. It was the direct line to the Regional Oversight Board's lead federal investigator. He pressed dial and listened to the tone. The phone rang twice before a very stern, authoritative voice answered. "This is Director Vance." Arthur leaned against the roof of his car, his voice steady and completely calm. "Director, my name is Arthur. I was just terminated from the Central Medical Hub for refusing to authorize the new automated routing software. The system is critically flawed and dangerous. I have embedded a compliance audit protocol to prevent the misdirection of Schedule 1 medical supplies." There was a heavy, intimidating pause on the other end of the line. "You realize making false claims about medical distribution is a federal offense, son?" Arthur smiled warmly, feeling the evening breeze on his face. "I know. But I also know that at exactly midnight, the Vice President is going to force start a system that will bypass all FDA safety checks. My protocol will trigger a hard stop. I am calling to ask you to monitor Server Gateway 4. When that happens, you will see the exact error logs he tried to bury and hide from the board. Don't take my word for it. Just watch the data. When you know you are absolutely right, you don't need to shout or scream. You just need to stand firm and let your actions speak. If you agree with this mindset, type "I stand for the truth" down below. Back at the Medical Distribution Center, the atmosphere was entirely different. The Vice President stood in the glass-walled control room, overlooking the massive warehouse floor. He held a glass of expensive champagne, surrounded by a few of his favorite middle managers. They were all waiting to celebrate the midnight launch, completely ignoring the detailed safety warnings Arthur had left on their desks earlier that day. To them, Arthur was just a minor inconvenience. He was a small bug they had easily squashed on their way to a massive corporate payout. The VP confidently checked his gold watch. As the digital clock on the wall flashed to 12, he leaned over the main console and pressed the glowing green override key. "Let's make some real money, gentlemen," he laughed, fully expecting the massive conveyor belts below to start moving thousands of crates into the delivery trucks. But the belts didn't move a single inch. Instead, the entire control room flashed a blinding, pulsating crimson red. Loud emergency sirens echoed through the massive, empty warehouse. The main monitors locked out, freezing the system completely, and displaying a single, bold message across every screen: "Critical safety compliance failure, federal audit protocol initiated." The VP spilled his champagne all over his expensive suit, his face instantly turning pale. "What is this? Override it right now. Shut it down," he screamed at the senior IT technicians sitting at the front desks. But the technicians were frantically typing, completely locked out of their own network. "Sir, we can't do anything," one of them stammered, his hands shaking over the keyboard. Someone hard-coded a phantom script deep into the root servers. It's broadcasting every bypassed error log and every forced safety violation directly to an external federal gateway. We are completely locked out of the mainframe. The VP slammed his fist onto the metal console. He knew exactly who did this. Arthur. He grabbed his phone to call corporate security, ready to send them to Arthur's house to drag him back. But before he could even dial a single number, the heavy security doors of the control room swung open. Director Vance walked in, flanked by 4 federal agents wearing dark windbreakers. He held a thick stack of printed server logs, still warm from the printer. He didn't look angry. He just looked incredibly disappointed. The way a teacher looks at a failing student. "You must be the vice president of operations," Vance said, his calm voice cutting right through the blaring alarms. "I've been monitoring Gateway 4 for the last 15 minutes. We have a real-time, undeniable record of you attempting to bypass strict FDA safety mandates to ship Schedule 1 medical supplies without proper temperature controls or routing verification." The VP tried to backtrack, his corporate arrogance completely evaporating into pure, unfiltered panic. "Wait, you have to listen to me. This is a massive misunderstanding. It was a rogue employee. Arthur did this. He sabotaged the company network because I fired him." Director Vance shook his head, stepping closer to the terrified executive. "Arthur didn't write the fatal flaws in your automated software. He wrote the safety net that just saved thousands of innocent lives, and frankly, he just saved this entire corporation from a multi-billion-dollar class action lawsuit. The board of directors has already been notified. You're done here." The federal agents stepped forward, swiftly confiscating the VP's laptop and his personal phone. They escorted him out of the building. The very same night shift employees who had watched Arthur carry his cardboard box out earlier that day now stood in total silence as they watched the arrogant executive being walked out by federal authorities, completely humiliated and stripped of his power. When powerful people are forced to face the consequences of their own greed, the truth always wins. If you believe that justice still exists in this world, type "I stand for the truth" down in the comments. It is a simple promise, but it means everything. The next morning, the sun was shining brightly over Arthur's small, peaceful backyard. He was kneeling in the fresh dirt, showing Lily how to test the pH levels of the water in their aquaponics garden. He was completely at peace. He wasn't worried about finding a new job, because a man with his mindset and his ability to learn quickly always found a way to thrive. Suddenly, his phone rang. It was a number he didn't recognize. He wiped the dirt from his hands and answered. It was the chairman of the board of directors for the medical distribution company. The chairman didn't offer a generic corporate apology. He offered genuine, profound gratitude. "Arthur, I spent the entire night reviewing the federal logs with Director Vance. You were the only person in that building willing to tell us the truth, when everyone else just wanted to secure their quarterly bonus. We fired the entire management team involved in yesterday's decision. We need a new vice president of operations. We need someone who truly understands the system, but more importantly, we need someone who isn't afraid to do the right thing when the pressure is on." Arthur looked over at his daughter, who was carefully wiping a smudge of dirt from her little nose and smiling at the fish swimming in the tank. He smiled back at her, feeling a deep sense of pride. He spoke clearly into the phone. "I accept your offer, sir, but my first order of business will be completely restructuring the compliance department. We are putting people before profit, permanently. If you can agree to those terms, I will be in the office on Monday morning." The chairman agreed instantly. Arthur hung up the phone and pulled Lily into a big, warm hug. "Remember that bad situation we talked about yesterday in the parking lot?" he asked her softly. Lily nodded, her eyes bright and full of trust. "Did we pull the weeds, Dad?" "We sure did, kiddo," Arthur laughed. "And now, the garden is ready to grow stronger than ever." Arthur never needed to seek revenge. He never needed to raise his voice or compromise his character. He just needed to stand his ground, knowing that true power doesn't come from a fancy title, a corner office, or a luxury car. Real power comes from unshakable integrity. He proved to his daughter that when you do the right thing, even when you have to stand entirely alone, the universe has a funny way of rewarding your courage. If this story touched your heart, and if you believe that being a good parent means setting the absolute best example for your children, no matter the cost, please hit that subscribe button right now. We share emotional stories like this to remind all of us what really matters in life. Don't forget to leave one last comment saying, "I stand for the truth," so we can continue to build a strong community of honest, hardworking people. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you in the next video.